Hello and hello. Thank you so much for joining me today. How you doing? 16 things not to do in Germany, okay? Big no-nos. These are always, I think they're important to know. You know, these types of things, the faux pas. Because, you know, a list of what you're allowed to do in Germany, plenty of things you're allowed to do. You know, nobody cares in Germany. If you're doing something you're allowed to do, who cares? Is doing stuff you shouldn't do. That's what you gotta know. This is by a relatively small channel, Travel Guide. Check them out, link down below. 16 things not to do in Germany. They've got a perfect 100% rating right now, so this must be a good list. Don't mess up their rating, guys. Let's do it.
The country of rules, and there's a few things you absolutely
Country of rules, hell yeah.
should not do, and one of them is don't expect to pee for free. I know it sounds funny. Free
Is that really a rule? Don't expect to pee for free. I guess the rule is no free peeing. No free pee here. Go to America for a free pee, okay? You're in Germany now.
public restrooms are not that common, and you know there is restrooms in train stations, bus stations, shopping malls, but usually they cost 50 cents or more.
What if you use one of the ones, I've seen you guys have those urinals that are just set up outside. Literally out there in the public square for anybody to see, anybody to look at you. Nobody cares. You know, nudity's cool, nobody cares. You just get to whip it out and pee in the middle of the street. It's incredible. You talk about freedom. But those are free, aren't they?
Expect to pee for free in Germany. That's a 4 out of 10 on our don't to meter scale, and it's gonna get so much crazier. The last ones are really big no-nos.
I like how that's a no-no. Don't pee for free, okay? Like, what does that mean? Don't, like, break into the bathroom?
Of course, there's exceptions to everything, so of course also to these don'ts. So if you disagree with one of them, let us know in the comments below. The next thing you shouldn't do in Germany is don't expect great service. Generally
Okay, so far these are like things not to expect. That's a little bit different than things not to do. But okay, all right.
speaking, customer service is not that friendly or warm, especially if you compare it to other countries, for example, the States. Now this holds for, you know, restaurants, retail shops, and yes, unfortunately, also official places, like for example, banks. You know,
Okay, now at official places, don't expect good customer service over here in America either. If you're at the DMV trying to get your motor license, do not expect good service. Or at the post office, no sir.
you know, the next
Because they're not working for the big American tips. You know, it's the places where you get those big American tips that give you good customer service. Imagine that.
time you go into a restaurant and you know they don't acknowledge your smile, it's not you. It's just the way it is. Now on a side note here, tipping is still
Okay, that would trigger me. If I smile at someone and they don't even acknowledge it, that's like a slap in the face.
expected. Don't expect great customer service in Germany. Also a 4 out of 10. Next thing is don't visit Germans spontaneously. Like what I mean is don't
There we go. Now that's a no-no. Okay, gotcha.
show up at their door unannounced because Germans on
You know what? Don't do this to me either. You know what? That's a big no-no in America. Don't do that. People have guns here, okay? Don't show up unannounced.
average like to be, you know, prepared internally and externally. They want to have a good feeling, you know, that everything is taken care of, that they have enough, you know, coffee and cake
Well, that's nice. You know, that's good hospitality.
in the kitchen, and also that the apartment is tidied up. That's a 4.5 out of 10.
Absolutely, you know, because I don't always necessarily keep everything perfectly tidy. So if you're showing up expecting tidiness and you make it past the defense, you know, the home defense, well, the house might not be perfectly tidy. And that's kind of, you know, like embarrassing, I guess.
10. And we're
I guess.
just getting started. Now don't be surprised if you see naked people in Germany. Ironically, you know, for a country that hates small talk and being loud on public transport, Germans are weirdly down with being nude.
You know, he says that like it's, those things are somehow related, being loud and being nude. But in a way, it kind of is. Like, I kind of understand what he means. It's kind of like being visually very loud. At least here in America, if you're naked, that's like visually screaming. Because that'll make you really stand out.
Like, for example, there is this park in Munich. I was this weekend, I was sitting down, and then, I don't know, 50 meters in front of me, there was this guy popping up, and he was completely naked. And I forgot, like, oh.
Now, is it always dudes? Is it always just dudes with beer bellies? Because somehow I get that impression. I don't know why. And you know what? Good for them. Good for them. But I don't get the impression that it's like supermodels walking around naked. But maybe I'm wrong.
Oh yeah, I'm sitting down in the naked area. It's called FKK here. And also many saunas have, and this rule.
Now that's a lot different. If you're in a sauna, of course that's different.
Where nudity is not only expected, but mandatory. So for example, there might be signs saying swimwear not allowed. That's a 5 out of 10 on our don't do meter. Next.
Swimwear not allowed would be a little bit confusing to an American. It would almost make you think you had to wear normal clothes. Because being nude is like, there's no way they're saying that you have to be nude. But they are.
Next is don't call late at night. Germans like to be efficient, and on average, I would say Germans don't stay up as late as, maybe other countries, like, for example, this.
Well, the ultimate efficiency would be just not sleeping at all. You can be productive 24 hours a day.
Spanish or the Italians, and calls after 8 p.m. are considered a disruption in Germany. People, I don't know, might be sitting in front of the TV, they have their evening routine, and they might be disturbed of that. So it's generally considered rude if you call after 8 p.m.
Wow. Okay, there you go. That is actually a pretty big difference, I'd say. There's really no faux pas about that here in America, especially now with people using cell phones. I don't know. Maybe back when we all had house phones, if you're calling during dinner time, that was a little bit of a faux pas. 6:30. Don't be calling the house phone. But house phones aren't really a thing. Now that it's like cell phones, it's kind of like whatever. It mostly just depends on who you are. If you're my friend, then yeah, you can, of course you can call me. At least to me, it's like, yeah, of course you can call me at 10 p.m. Like, I don't care. I might not pick up. I might not be awake, but you can try.
You can still text them or WhatsApp them or Facebook them, that's fine. But calling, that's considered rude.
Okay, good to know.
5.5 out of 10.
This is how, you move to Germany, you make some friends and then you lose them all because you're stupid, you don't know what not to do, you're calling them at midnight.
Don't expect the water to be free. And this might be a shock for, many North Americans who come to the country. But yeah, water is not free in the restaurants.
It would be a shock to me, but I'm an advanced German understander, okay? European understander. Trust me, I understand water's not free.
Like serving.
Because it's mostly caffeinated, right? It's bubbly water.
Tap water, that concept doesn't exist. So if you ask for tap water, they probably will just shake their head and say, we don't serve that, because yeah, you will have to pay for your water. That's a 5.5 out of 10, because water is not free.
So it's really don't ask for water, like, for free. That is a pretty foreign concept, I will admit, even as an advanced German understander, as myself. Okay, I'm not advanced. I'm like, I'm a sophomore.
Don't.
But it's still kind of odd. Like, water, to me, water is free. You know what I mean?
Be loud, because there is such thing as quiet hours. It is from 10 p.m. till 6 a.m. in the morning, and even some regions have it after lunch for an hour. So if you decide...
After lunch for an hour? It's so random. What time is lunch? Why after lunch?
You mow your lawn or be really loud on a Sundays or, during these quiet hours, don't be surprised that the neighbors will complain.
Now, when are you supposed to mow your lawn? If you can't mow your lawn on a frickin' weekend. So you have to do it on Saturday? Because, okay, I guess you can mow it during the week, but you're at work, aren't you? And then you know, the sun is setting. You get home, you're really going to mow your lawn? Maybe. I don't know, dude. I guess Saturday. You got to mow your lawn on Saturday.
Germans don't mess around when it comes to their quiet hours. That's a 6 out of 10. Don't do small talk. You know, I know there is countries where this is very common. Howdy. They just don't understand it. They will look at you weird, be like, why is this person coming, you know, all up close in my personal space and asking me these very personal questions or these very unimportant questions about how the weather is.
I already don't do small talk, you know, as it is pretty much. Unless I'm like alone in an elevator with somebody, you know what I mean? Like, do people... Is that really something I shouldn't do? If you're in an elevator and you're with someone else and you're just like, where are you from? Is that weird?
And stuff.
You don't have to ask where I'm from because I'm asking you where you're from. So you already know I'm from the USA because I'm being weird and asking you where you're from, even though I don't know you. Good talk.
It's not very common here. Don't expect them to understand small talk. Don't do it. 7 out of 10. Don't forget cash. Cards are not accepted everywhere here. You know, there's some shops where it says only cash.
What about Bitcoin?
And even if they take cards, sometimes you need a minimum amount that you need to spend in order to use your card. Oftentimes it's 10 euros. So you could be standing there, you know,
10 euro?
to spend in order to use your card. Oftentimes it's 10 euros.
Damn. That's kind of like, that's a kind of a high threshold, you know? Because then you're not, you know, a lot of little things you want to buy, just a coffee or a burger or something. You're not quite hitting that 10 euro. Wow, okay, so you really do got to carry the cash.
So you could be standing there, you know, with your chewing gum and it'll be like, okay, I still need, I don't know, 9 more euros so I can get my chewing gum. And you're just kind of like, okay, I get the Snickers, I get this, just in order so you can use your card. Don't forget cash. That's a 7 out of 10. Now, when
That is an interesting one. And I guess, I mean, the only reason for that is because of the fees on the credit card, right? Because they're obviously the fees are high on payment processing. They're pretty high. Like 3% plus a quarter. You know, that's pretty standard here in America, I think, for payment processing, which is high. I will say that's really high. I mean, is there any effort to like accept something cheaper, like on Ethereum L2 or something?
When you're invited to someone's home, don't wear your shoes inside. Because people here take off the shoes the second they step into the house. And
Okay, do they take them out, like, outside the door like that? Because we don't do that. We certainly don't do that over here in America. Like, yeah, whether or not you take off your shoes or not, kind of depends. Basically, if the person seems really clean, then take off your shoes. If their house is already a mess, it's like, you can still ask to be polite, but they probably don't care.
And sometimes the host even has slippers prepared for you. For example,
what? That would be awesome. That's like a hotel.
A Birkenstock, you know? We call them house shoes. And yeah, guess what I'm wearing right now?
Hold up. You guys wear shoes inside, but they have to be house shoes. Why don't you just wear socks? Genuine question. Interesting.
House shoes
Is the floor cold?
in Germany, because you don't wear your shoes inside. That's a 7.5 out of 10. Don't forget to recycle in Germany, because there are strict rules to that. And you know, if Germans see you doing it wrong, they will probably stare at you and be like, why is he not doing it correctly?
I'm sure they would be doing that with a lot of stuff I would be doing. But is there any legality to that? Like, do you have to recycle?
And you don't want that. Also, on a side note, you know, you get...
I'm looking that up. I think the answer is no. You know, is recycling mandatory in Germany? There we go. Yes, recycling is mandatory. The government has implemented several laws about how how to encourage recycling, and citizens are expected to properly separate and dispose of their waste. Oh my God, I didn't know it was mandatory, guys. That's a whole different type of thing. Oh my God. Because, I mean, over here in America, like, yeah, I recycle. We only have 2 bins, the trash and the recycling. But I'm going to be honest, when that recycle bin fills up for the week, I'm going to have to put some of that stuff in the trash. Like, I just don't have anywhere else to put it. Would that be illegal?
Money back for certain bottles, for example, beer bottles and plastic bottles.
Of course, the fond, guys. I've still got my Spetsy here to collect my fond. I'm not throwing this away.
And for example, for the plastic bottles, there's these little machines in the supermarket where you can just, throw it in and you'll get money back. Don't forget that, 7.5 out of 10. Don't get
I never really
bottles. There's these little machines.
I never really understood how they give you the money back, and I see that this prints out a little ticket
In the supermarket where you can just...
So this is like a little voucher you can redeem for 25 cents. Will they give you, like... Huh. I wonder if it just takes the 25 cents off your bill, or what?
Throw it in and you'll get money back. Don't forget that, 7.5 out of 10. Don't get offended, because Germans are direct,
That's easier said than done.
If you ask them, you will get an honest answer. There's no back and
I have learned that with you guys. Okay? I've learned that. Actually, that's 100% true. I have learned that. In the comments here, you guys are pretty straightforward. Half the time, half the comments are just like, okay, you did this wrong, you said this wrong, you got that wrong. I'm like, damn. Okay, all right, I understand.
forth, and this might be irritating.
Like, it is pretty straightforward, you know what I mean?
For a lot of people at first, but you will appreciate it because you know where you stand at. Don't get offended. There's no beating around the bush in Germany. 8 out of 10. Another big thing not to do in Germany is don't jaywalk. Like, oftentimes, I see people just waiting at the light is red, there is no cars around, there's nothing, maybe it's in the middle of the night, but they're still waiting for the light to turn green. And especially don't jaywalk.
It's funny because, like, that makes sense to me, because it basically is like, it's the same rules applied to just how you drive a car. If I'm driving a car here in America, no, you can't run a red light. You can't just go through a red light just because no one's there. I've seen that happen maybe once in my life, maybe twice. But you can't do that. Nobody does that. But if you're walking, it really doesn't matter at all. It pretty much is just there for your own safety. It's basically like, hey, you should follow this light. Like, this will tell you when you're safe, but have at it. If you want to go at any time, you are not getting a ticket. Okay? That's not even a consideration. It's not like driving a car. But in Germany, that actually does make sense, because it's basically just like driving a car. You run a red light, whether you're on foot or in a car, you're getting a ticket. Got it.
They walk when there's kids around with their parents, because parents would get angry, for you setting a bad example, which, okay, fair.
To be honest, you can even jaywalk with kids here in America. You can. Like, no one cares. I mean, that's interesting, right? It could be chaotic. I could imagine that causing a lot of chaos, but for the most part, people surprisingly are relatively intelligent about it. You know what I mean? They're not just running out in front of cars. I mean, if you're in a busy part of the city or on a busy block, then yeah, you got to wait for the light because there's cars. I'm only talking about when it's not busy, when there's no one there. Then it's like, go ahead.
Fair enough. I'm telling you, you don't want to get yelled at by German parents. It's terrifying. That's a 8.5 out of 10. If I haven't terrified you so far, then
I can imagine being yelled at by German parents. I would feel bad. I would just make you feel like a bad parent too. You'd be like, damn, I'm a bad dude. So yeah, okay. I won't do it.
click on that subscribe button would be terrifying. Don't walk in the bike lane. Like really, watch out for the signs. And if you want to go biking, you know, and you stick to the rules, biking is a lot of fun in Germany. But when you're on foot, be careful because, you know, you might think, oh, there's some space on the bike lane. You will for sure get yelled at by a German biker 9 out of 10. And while we're talking...
That's a huge one for Americans. That's a huge one. I feel like the bike lane is not as obviously not as respected here in America, but more so, you know, I more commonly see, because we don't really have that many bike lanes. So what you'll more commonly see is a bicycle on the sidewalk. The bicycle is supposed to be in the road. You know, there's usually not a bike lane. So the bicyclist goes in the road. He's a vehicle, effectively. But a lot of times, especially if they're kids, they go on the sidewalk. And that's kind of like a gray area. I'd say if you're a kid, people will, you know, they're not gonna say anything. If you're like an adult, people might tell you like, get off the sidewalk. But you'll see it.
Talking about bike lanes, if you decide to ride a bike, don't use the bike lane in the wrong way. And this is what I mean. Bike on the right side, like the same directions the cars are going. And if there's no bike lane, you know, you bike on the road, not on the pedestrian walk, and also on the right side. And if you disobey this, you will have to pay a hefty fine if the police catches you. And believe me, you don't want to pay this hefty fine. I speak from experience. Also a 9 out of 10 on our don't do meter. And our number one, a sure way to piss off every German, don't be late. Like Germans are crazy punctual.
Unless you're a train, then you can be late, right? From what I understand it in your comments. If you're a train, you can be late.
We all heard the stereotype and it is true. Like there's no buffer time of like, oh, I'm on my way, sorry, traffic is so bad. No, Germans will be on time. Actually, no, they won't be on time.
How do you control that though if something actually does happen? I guess you don't. You just have to be like, sorry.
They will be 5 to 10 minutes early.
Ah, okay.
Don't be
so you give yourself a little time in case you're late. That's kind of like people are pretty punctual here in America, but for certain things, like a doctor's appointment, don't be late. That's for sure. If you're meeting a friend, 5 minutes late, no big deal. If you're going to the doctors, don't be late. You can't be late. You will just get like they will basically I don't know. It depends, but they might cancel your appointment. You're not going to be late to the doctors. You got to be there 10, 15 minutes early. So it's kind of like that, but with everything in Germany. Wow.
Late, don't disappoint the Germans. That's a 10 out of 10.
I don't want to disappoint the Germans.
And in order for you not to be disappointed, hey, check out our video where we rank German foods from worst to best. And the first ones are crazy delicious.
Okay, I'm definitely reacting to that. That sounds awesome. Go check out this channel. Perfect. 85 out of 85. That's a good sign, people. Thank you so much for watching. See you guys tomorrow.